I'm gonna need to prep myself for this one. So this and the mid-season patches are the ones that are usually the longest rundowns, as a warning. You should expect this to take about 30 minutes, probably more along the lines of 30, 40, 45. Afterwards, I'll also be reviewing NEEKO. I have not seen anything about this champion. I purposely avoided any spoilers on Twitter or social media, any of that. So I have not seen anything. I've never played it before. So it'll be my first impression of the champion as well. So let's just go ahead and do both, and good luck. So, preseason. Lo and behold, what are they going to do? We've heard a little bit about it, you know, when they extend laning phase. They have a lot of high-level goals. When they extend laning phase, when they make it so that games don't feel like dragged out, that you're not in unwinnable games, and games finish quicker in that regard. They want to make it so runes are decoupled. And so, but let's just read what they say. They're saying it's time for preseason. This patch is less about big meta shifts and gameplay evolution you've seen in the preseasons past. Our focus is on refining your existing experience. The time you spend playing League is as satisfying as possible. Okay, we've got 4 major themes. Okay, that's great. Laning phases are improved and slightly longer. Comebacks more achievable and satisfying. Deciding games resolve faster. Rune pass no longer to take stat bonuses. This isn't really a goal, by the way. This is actually just like this isn't a goal. This is a statement, but that's irrelevant. As is customary, there are also a bunch of changes that don't fit into those buckets too. Lissandra has a real passive. This is the first sizable patch we have in a few months, so surely let's get into it. Great, let's get into it. So we're going to be focusing on them satisfying these 3 goals in this statement. Okay? Aatrox, broken ass champion. What are they going to do? Our duration decreased, now grants max heal if Blood Bowl is over 80% filled. They won't have long to wreak havoc with the promise of new revival during World Ender, but they'll max out the revive heal sooner. A few clarity improvements will help enemies make the best choices when they decide to win, and if they want to kill them the first time or way out the clock. Okay, so I think this champion does too much damage, sustains for too much, and its ulti lasts too long. So they decided to hit him on the ulti duration, now down to 10 seconds. I think that that's a good nerf. I actually probably would have preferred a shorter duration. It feels like teamfights don't last 12 seconds. And teamfights don't last 10 seconds either. Usually what happens is I want to be in a situation where it's like, yeah, he can go in for a little bit, scrap it out, and decide he wants to disengage. Cool. I think it should be possible to time out his ulti, but on current servers, I don't think it is. I've tried to time it out multiple times, but I realized 12 seconds is way too long. I would prefer something along the lines of an 8-second ulti, really giving him a large punish, or like maybe a scaling ulti timer. So at the very beginning of the game, he just can't teamfight that well till the end. You know, like an 8, 9, 10. I would have preferred that. 2 seconds off, still something. I'll take it. It's pretty much along the lines of what I wanted. And what else is there? Max out the revive heal sooner. That's kind of not that relevant, to be honest. It's just to offset the lower duration. Really, I was looking for something more. This is okay, but he'll still probably be super ultra good, like super ultra top tier. And you really wanted something to make sure that he wasn't, because Aatrox is a champion that tends to crowd out a lot of other champions because of how strong he is. Even before he gets ulti, he is still very, very strong. Nothing has changed. I would like to see a little bit more nerf to Aatrox. Yeah. Kind of upset that this didn't get more of a nerf. Ezreal, W base damage increased. Oh, wait, before we move on, notice that one of their goals is to extend laning phase. Aatrox is a monster in lane. So he's going to be getting a buff off of this because you're staying in laning phase longer, and he has the sustain as well as the harass to be able to beat out other champions. The way you beat Aatrox is by accelerating the game and getting out of lane and doing stuff there. However, that's not a possibility anymore. And if anything, he only benefits or should benefit from the new changes. So I would have liked to see a bigger nerf. Okay. Ezreal. W base damage increased. AP ratio scales with ranked. With rank, R damage decrease against minions and non-epic monsters no longer falls off per hit. Promise to look out for AP Ezreal after updates, so we're back with a few more changes. Okay, W base damage is higher. And the AP ratio scale, ooh, it's just a straight flat AP buff. Okay. Damage is no longer reduced by 10% for each enemy hit. Okay. Minions and non-minions now take 50% reduced damage. Okay, so it's his ulti is less of a wave clear and more of, and it's possible for you to be able to hit champions for full damage even through the creeps. So that's interesting. I think he did use his wave clear a lot early. Ezreal at the moment I think is really, really good. However, he is even more skill reliant than he was before. Before you had to do attack move plus use Q plus use E effectively. Now you have to do that, use all those and loop in a W in the middle of your rotation. So I think he's an even harder AD carry to play. I find that a lot of people don't really know Ezreal's true power because they can't play him well enough or don't see people who play him well enough. I'm convinced Ezreal is a super good champion right now and it just takes a lot of skill to play. So pretty much all they did was kind of buff his AP ratio. Sure, doesn't super matter. This is a champion you want to keep your eyes on though, because I think that as people get better and more comfortable with the new Ezreal, he is gonna be seeing a lot of play. Keep going. Lissandra. So Lissandra has always, her passive has never been good. It is one of the dumbest passives in the game. And what they did was they thought when they originally made the champion, from what I understand, that there was too much power on the rest of her kit, so they couldn't give her an actual passive. And so instead they gave her a mana passive, which was just, and they cut her mana regen growth to like the lowest in the game. So now they're just like, you know what? Let's give her a real passive, which I think is correct. So now they're giving her 5% bonus attack speed at level 1. That's why. I don't think that's necessary. And they're increasing her mana regen growth. Okay, that's cool. Her missile speed is increasing. I don't think she needs these buffs, but sure. And when an enemy dies near Lissandra, the new passive, they become a Frozen Thrall. Frozen Thralls seek out living enemies, slowing their movement speed when nearby. After a few seconds, Frozen Thralls shatter from the intense cold, dealing magic damage in the area. They chase enemies for 4 seconds before exploding. Okay, 0.3 ratio, 25% slow. Base damage is 120 to 520. So if you hit one in a late game team fight or a mid game team fight, it's going to do a bunch of damage. Unfortunately, they take 4 seconds to explode, is what it looks like. But they do slow enemies when they're nearby. Now that's a pretty nifty. I think that this is really cool, very thematic of her, and I like that that she has a new ulti. Nice, very, very strong here. Somewhat small AP damage, but really high base values. Okay. So what did they do? They nerfed her, or they gave her mana regen growth back to compensate for her passive. They lowered the mana cost of her Q, of her W, and they decreased the damage of her W and her AP ratio. They made Glacial Path accelerate at the very beginning, and they made it so you get 1 less AP ratio. So they're taking a little bit of guaranteed power away from her kit, do 0.2 AP ratio from W and ulti, both of which are pretty much guaranteed when you're playing Lissandra, and moving it more toward her passive. What this is going to mean probably is that the pen build is definitely going to stay relevant. She doesn't have super good AP ratios in its first place, so you commonly see her going double pen. She's still going to go that. It's going to be even better for her. You'll probably see people start maxing E second. It's something that's already being seen quite a bit. Heizendon released a video about how to use Hex Flash with Glacial Path, and I think that alongside the new acceleration early is going to help out a lot when it comes to Lissandra. I think that she is in a good spot. This is not going to make her OP unless the passive is just way better than I initially think. She's still going to be very strong. The thing about Lissandra right now is people don't realize that she's only strong because the top 4 meta mids are all super OP, and she's one of the only champions that can deal with them. LeBlanc, Akali, Aurelia, Aatrox are the 4 champions that are problematic, and she's a champion that can deal with all 4. And none of the control mages can really do that effectively early enough. Now, I think that if control mages do come back, Lissandra is going to be weaker normally, because you can't really play Lissandra into stuff like Orianna, into stuff like even Cassio is really hard. All these control / poke mages is super difficult to play Lissandra into. Vel'Koz. And so if those start seeing more play, Lissandra naturally is going to be weaker. So it's kind of just like a meta shift that she saw more play, and she's very easily pushed, more easily pushed out of the meta given what's strong at the moment. So far, we've seen Aatrox not being that nerfed. I could probably say Lissandra is going to see some level of play here or there. Just because I see Aatrox there. Now, I'll wait to see if there's any more changes onto the meta mids. That's kind of what I'm looking for. All right, Thalia, super OP she's one of the top 4 solo queue junglers, right? Her Camille Sins out are like super strong. Hecarim is seeing a lot of play at the moment as well. And so these mainly three champions are seeing a ton of play. She does so much damage. So what's going on? We're siphoning some of Thalia's monster, minion killing straight into power that helps her in a wide variety of situations. So she has... They're reverting the cooldown, the Q to her old Q. Everything takes 50% less damage, so she can't clear or kill minions as easily. This is a huge jungle nerf. Workground duration decreased by a lot. Wow, this is actually a big buff. Because you can change... creep spawn every 30 seconds. So about every wave and a half, you're going to be able to work around the same exact area. That's really interesting. Workaround duration is no longer affected by cooldown CDR. That's fine. Especially for this big of a buff, there's no problem with this. Especially with Thalia. Yeah, it doesn't matter with this big of a buff. So pretty much what they're doing is they're reverting everything about the current Thalia, putting her into the old Thalia, and removing her wave clear on Q. I think she's going to be a lot worse jungler. She didn't see much solo lane play in the first place. So I don't necessarily know when you're gonna see her. I think maybe this is definitely a buff to support Thalia, right? Especially because you'll be extending the lane, so you have a pretty low cooldown, pretty decent damage. You don't care about the damage cutoff. So support Thalia probably is a little bit better. But aside from that, I think she's nerfed in every other regard, and you're probably not gonna see much of her. Yeah. Pretty big nerf. I think she should have gotten nerfed. This is a little heavy-handed. Yorick. Just a bug fix, but one that asks Yorick to be a bit more careful when sending his pets after his opponents. Misweak walkers and minions now draw a minion and turret aggro onto Yorick if they... Really? If they damage an enemy champion? Okay, sure. I don't think Yorick was an OP champion. And I don't think he... Like, this bug fix is a direct nerf, right? Because you're telling me in some situations this didn't happen. So... I don't think he's an oppressive champion. I don't think many people play him. I'm surprised that this is here without any like other compensation buffs or anything. Really surprised. I don't really know what to say about this. Not what I expected. Cool. Doran's shield. Passive regen now based on missing health. Scaling regen means Doran's shield will still be a powerful option against constant poke, but won't leave users impervious to all ends. After taking damage from an enemy champion, regenerate up to 30 health over 10 seconds based on missing health. Cap at 25% missing health. So... it's just for poke? I like what their thought process on this. Because I think Doran's shield is too good of a item just in general. However, I don't really think it's going to matter too much because generally you buy this for early game, and early game champions can't really all in regardless. Like, unless you're playing at something like Rengar level 1 into bushes, no one all ins early. Everyone pokes. So, like, being a powerful option against poke just means it's a powerful option against everything. I think that this is fine. This is probably not going to be that relevant, in my opinion. Especially because 25% missing health is not that big of a thing to cross. So this says a lot. I don't think it really does anything. I'm gonna be honest. Let's keep going. Rage Blade. So this item super OP on some champions, not bought on others. Flat on hit flat damage increase. Ratios removed. Now grants armor, magic penetration. No longer grants AP CDR. Cost decreased. Can function as both a one-item power spike and a late-game scaling engine, which has led to numerous balance changes over the years. That's true. This update leads into the former. The switch from percentage AD AP to hybrid pen puts emphasis on base values rather than scaling, introducing Ginsu's on-hit damage, which is back to flat 15. Penetration now plays poorly with Infinity Edge's true damage conversion, making Rage Blade a less desirable pickup for AD carries. Okay, who ultimately wanted to play with crit carry game. None of the crit carries are being played right now, so I guess that's great. That's fine. A cost reduction ties the bow down on the Rage Blade Rush passive, and the cost decrease is only 200. So I like the on hit damage is good, right? 0.1 bonus AD, 0.1 AP. It's a nerf late game. Pretty much slight buff early game. Now grants on first on base. Now grants 6.5 to 15% total armor and magic penetration, and removes AD and AP per stack. This seems worse. Straight nerf. If you're missing AP, AD, it seems far more niche. I agree with that. It's for very, very specific champions, right? For instance, if you're looking at this, Yi is gonna hate this, right? A lot of his damage is true damage through Conquer. A lot of champions who scale well off attack speed and bonus AD and AP, like Jax, saw nerfs with this. It's definitely a much more niche item. Like Vayne is not gonna like armor pen when most of a lot of her damage is true damage based and attack speed reliant. So this is definitely way more niche. Yeah, this is very strange. I'm not really sure what to think about this. They're essentially nerfing this item for a lot of champions, and I think it's only going to be good on very, very, very few. I'm not even sure which ones, because I think of a lot of the ADs that use this, they won't want this anymore, or because a lot of them needed the bonus attack speed as well. So maybe it's still a kill item, but I'm not sure. Maybe not sure at all. Cool, let's keep going. Huge nerf, in my opinion. Big, large nerf. And maybe this item needed to be nerfed, because I think that its like OP cases were so good. But I think that it's just not going to see much play, period, anymore. Throwing this over here. Jungle items. Monster Hunter Gold penalty removed. Other preseason changes including farming bounties, trade-offs, gold funding, and rigid costs to introduce the Monster Hunter penalty. We no longer need it. Oh, right. If you're the most fed jungler, you get like 2 gold. Cool, I'm glad they removed this, because this is just a ban they fixed in the first place. Relic Shield upgrades. Minion execute threshold increase for Relic Shield upgrades. We're helping Relic Shield upgrades keep up with minion health increases preseason brings. Cool. Smart idea, really good. It's increases by quite a bit. Nice. I always like to be able to hit these when I'm a support as soon as I can. Oh, sorry, I misread this. The Rage Blade still grants attack speed, so it still sees some sort of use on stuff like that. Is still somewhat attack speed reliant. I just seems in general that it giving the bonus AD and AP made it a super item that you would want eventually on any champion. Still think it got nerfed. Ward and trinkets. Control ward inventory cap reduced. Really? Trinket scale with average level of all champions in the game instead of owner's level. Warding totem ward duration decreased late. Okay. So the vision game overwhelmingly favors the team that's ahead. They have the most freedom to place wards and most gold to put on vision denial via control wards, while helping teams ahead close games out is one of our preseason goals. The vision does in its incredibly slow, safe manner that reduces action. With tons of other preseason changes decided to help decide games end quicker, we're pulling back on how high the winning team's vision advantage can climb. Okay, this would mean that generally speaking, non-supports will have to buy more wards because supports can only buy 2. No one's gonna do that though, because no one buys control wards in the first place. So there'll just be less guaranteed vision on the map. Okay. Don't have any strong or bad preference about that. And you're now getting a 2-minute ward instead of a 3-minute ward at level 18. I think that for the most part, no one really sat on warding trinket. This punishes you for sitting on the wrong trinket late game. Most of the times you want to have blue or you want to have sweeper. So this really doesn't affect a lot of players, but sometimes you forget to change. And I don't necessarily think that this matters that much. It is a somewhat large nerf to vision, but I don't necessarily think it's that big of a deal. Maybe it might be wrong though. It might be decent for like split pushers who want to get vision out that isn't easily removed by blue trinket. Not sure. Cool. Turrets. Okay, turret plating. Outer turrets have extra resistances but grant gold for each 1,000 health they lose. Okay, the gist here is that turrets won't fall at 5 minutes when the enemy team groups up and hard pushes your lane. And so as they chip your turrets down, they will get extra gold to reward their aggression while your turret becomes increasingly harder to kill. It's a win-win. Lane bullies get more turret gold than before, while late game scaling champions have a more reliable window of safety to farm under turret. This also means that your lane won't be decided as heavily by success or failure of other lanes, since their own turrets are harder to take too. The fall-off mechanic ensures lane phase won't be too much longer on average and makes plating gold a true advantage for early game champions, since once it's gone, it's gone. Okay, let me get drink some water before I go into this. Okay. Cool. So they have 5 temporary plates, which means they have temporarily 5,000 extra health onto each turret. The plates still have health of their own. Okay, so the 5,000 damage onto the towers, you'll do them, the plates will die off that. Okay, turret plating grants 40 armor MR at the game start. Dealing 1,000 damage to outer turret also causes the plate to break, granting 160 divided by nearby champions, increasing the turret's armor by 30 until the turret plating falls off completely. Okay. For the next 20 seconds after a plate destroyed, the turret also gains Bulwark, granting an additional 25 armor and MR for each nearby champion past the first. Multiple instances of Bulwark stack if multiple plates are destroyed with a 20-second window. So this really... Okay, hold on. Turret plating falls off at 14 minutes, causing all outer turrets to lose all armor, magic resistance, making unclaimed plating gold permanently inaccessible. Okay, here we go. So this really discourages grouping up and breaking a tower early. This does indeed extend the laning phase in some way, shape, or form, because they're inherently making the early towers stronger up until 14 minutes. My first thought on this situation is the fact that it feels like you're given the option to smash lane, but the option doesn't incentivize pushing as much as you'd think. So, especially if you're mid lane, I guess it does for side lanes, because side lanes don't tend to roam as much. But for mid lane, me having to go through turret armor and MR is, I feel like it's quite a bit. Like, I would only go through one. I'd prefer to roam to create pressure than to keep pushing down through Bulwark or all this stuff, because it de-incentivizes you from pushing past one plate, because every plate that gets destroyed, or after the first plate, it gains more armor and MR, and every plate that gets destroyed is the same thing. So not only are you disincentivized from 2-man pushing, maybe what happens is it's like a mini reward. Like you'll kill someone, you'll push for 1 plating, and you'll back off. So both of you and the jungler usually will make 80 extra gold. Maybe that's fine. Certainly it's going to change stuff up a lot. You'll probably tend to play around plating quite a bit. I guess you get a lot of early gold. Okay, so let's say it's just one person. You're crushing this guy in this split push. Okay, this is a thing where you're getting 160, 160, 160. There's 5 temporary plates. Instead of what, 800 extra gold? 1,000 health is quite a bit as well, especially with 40 armor and MR. Wow, 800 gold is 3 kills, almost 3 kills worth. I think this incentivizes. Oh, this is funny. This incentivizes top laners the most, I think. Yeah, I think this is definitely something for side laners. This is not something for mid lane, because this might encourage mid laners to stay mid more and push. Right now the meta sort of is you push and you back to get a good back timing, or you back mid and roam to get other lanes ahead. You never really push down mid. Like, pushing down mid usually happens when your jungler comes, kills the mid laner, and then you take the tower in 1 minute, or like 20 seconds to 30 seconds, and they can't do much about it. So this, I don't know if this will change the meta for mid lane. This will definitely maybe encourage top laners to play greedier top lanes, which to be honest, they do anyways, so nothing really matters. Incentivizes champions that tend to push and do a lot of damage on the turrets early. Champions like Caitlyn and to some extent Sivir see huge benefits from this. Caitlyn especially, right? Because Caitlyn, you're going to get shoved in and you are going to be safe, but Caitlyn's going to farm that extra gold non-stop, dude. So this, if you're a Caitlyn player, reading this stuff should make you feel very, very happy about yourself. My biggest problem with turret plating, and I think that it solves one of their goals, which is to extend laning phase. I think it does do that. So it makes the early game a little bit more laning focused. Is my biggest problem with the game right now, as I said in my last video, is the fact that I think the pacing is very bad. And what that means is there's no clear early, mid, late game, or that it's too accelerated. So right now, this is what's going to happen. Your early game is 0 to 14 minutes. That is when turret plating falls off. More than likely, it'll be about 0 to 12, because I think before it gets there, you'll probably be strong enough to force down a couple of outers. So 0 to 12, 0 to 14. Then from 14 to 20 is mid game. So all it did was, instead of the pacing just turned into your early game is lower. I think early game on live servers right now is about 8 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes. You break first tower, your bot lane starts rotating everywhere, taking outers. Bam, that's early game. And then from 8 minutes to 20 minutes is the mid game. And right now you're just squishing the mid game up. Like you're making it the early game longer, the mid game shorter, and the late game is still the exact same thing, which is you're Baron dancing. Whoever gets Baron wins the game, give or take. And so I don't necessarily think they fixed, like they didn't change what I thought was like a very bad problem in the game. Like due to the fact that that pacing is like that, like late game champions like, especially AD carriers who tend to scale a lot based on items and require game length or gold to scale, have problems being able to impact the game unless they're Lucian, Draven, early game champions, right? Or Sivir who just shoves. So what changes in this situation? The late game is still a problem. AD still can't get to 3 items, but the early game is just extended. So I don't think, like, this just re-encourages the same champions that are for ADs, right? You still want to be playing Lucian. You still want to be playing Draven, because and maybe you want to be playing like a little bit more lane dominant stuff like Caitlyn as well. So maybe that opens up. But there's still the problem of the game where I think the pacing is still off, and the balance due to pacing is off as well. And I'm worried that like this just makes laning stronger, but I don't necessarily know what that translates into. Is laning phase the most enjoyable part of the game? For a lot of people, yes. Like I enjoy laning a lot. But does this mean that you're gonna be going 0-3 in lane and you can't recover because they're just so strong and you can't break out of lane? Because there's a lot of champions or a lot of situations where like I'm trying to free up bad lane matchups. I gank, I break the tower, they're out of lane. But I can't do that easily. So they're stuck in that bad lane matchup for a while. So will stuff like counter picks, for instance, mean even more in this situation? Something that top laners, for instance, will not enjoy. So if laning phase is as important or extra important in this situation, and top lane is already the most counter pick heavy lane, how are you going to be playing blind top lane when they get the ability to always pressure? So these are all questions you should be thinking about with the new turret plating. And the new idea of, okay, we're going to make our early game a lot longer. Is, for instance, like I see in chat, Lane Kingdom gonna be a thing again? Maybe. Riot's actually pushing toward Lane Kingdom being a thing. There's a lot of problems with that, and the problems with last meta didn't necessarily get solved as well. So those combine onto each other to make maybe some ugly stuff. But it's preseason, we expect some ugly stuff. So let's see what happens. Turret adjustments. Outer turret health increased, resistance is removed. All turret AD scaling increased, first turret bonus decreased. Okay. The first turret bonus and outer turrets are made to accommodate turret plating. Beyond those, turret damage is going up to increase risk. Risk back into dive attempts, while global gold is going down to shrink the team-wide snowball granted by one lane pulling head. I like both of these, okay? I like the fact that turret damage going up should be true. I feel like turrets mid-late game are just useless. Like, they don't do that much damage. If you have a frontline, shit, doesn't matter. If I'm a squishy, I'll just keep diving you. It doesn't matter. So I think that it should do more damage to create more risk. I agree. Global gold is down to shrink the team-wide snowball. I think that's okay. Reasonable, especially with how much gold you're going to be getting off the turret playing initially. if you're able to push your lead. First brick, first turret bonus. God, they called it first brick. They only do that in LCK. I hated them calling. Sorry, this is completely irrelevant. So the first, it's no longer beneficial for you to push down one turret. You only get 150 gold. And turret plating is 160 gold. So it's not even that worth it. It's better for you to get single turret plating thing reset and go from there. Okay, that's actually a big change. I don't necessarily know if they needed to really do this. Sure, this seems like a really big nerf. This is just gonna, it's pretty much means first tower no longer matters. Something to keep in mind, because one plating stack is going to be worth more than this. Outer towers, increased health to 5,000. Okay, 80 scaling is 9 per minute. Okay, that's pretty strong. 80 cap at 278, so it does almost twice as much damage. Armor and MR, yeah, I got decreased turret. Replaced by turret plating, global gold unchanged. Inner turret 9 per minute. Okay, so all the towers got damage buffs. Okay, that's cool. That's to get something to get used to. Global gold went down for inners and inhib towers. Yeah, the biggest thing is just the 80 scaling. You can get a lot more damage, especially for outers, as well as the extra health to 1200. This doesn't change anything of my initial stuff. Like, I think that straight up it's still the exact same thing, except for dives are going to be harder, and getting used to the extra dive damage, especially in the mid game, is going to be interesting. It will discourage people from diving with squishies as much. Whether that's a good or bad thing, yet to be determined. I generally think that you shouldn't be able to dive with squishies through tier 2 squishies through tier 2 consistently as you do now. So I don't mind it as much, but maybe the 80 scaling is just crazy because it's more than double what it was before. So I'm surprised by that. All my statements that I made about turret plating and what this is going to cause for the game still applies to this. This doesn't change anything that I originally said, and I don't have any more statements to really make about seeing this. The fact that first turret bonus is a lot less, plating is quite a bit. That's pretty much it, and the damage scaling is way higher, more than double. It's pretty crazy. Minions and monsters. Okay, every season there's a jungle change. Oh, never mind. This is the minion change. Cool. Minion health 80, movement speed scaling increased. Killing minions spawn faster in the early game. Bear buff is meant to be enable in-gaming pushes, but is becoming near mandatory for a team to close out a match. Yes. We're making minion waves more effective at supporting sieges on their own, so teams with huge advantages don't have to wait on Baron respawn timer to end the game. Okay. All minions now reach their max values at 37 minutes unless otherwise stated. Cool. Damage to turrets decreased, but the move speed gets increased by quite a bit. Plus 100 at 25 minutes is huge, because you're hitting 20-25 minutes all the time. And right now, you're only getting 25 at 20 minutes. You're getting 75 now. And it starts at 10 minutes. So you are going to be seeing a lot of minions. Okay. Melee minions. Health increased by 1. Max armor. Max AD. Baron buff. 70% from champions, 0 from turrets. Okay, so they'll take less damage from towers. So towers will be able to clear. And 5% less from champions. Okay. Max, it no longer scales infinitely for casters. I didn't even realize it scaled infinitely. It stops at 120. Okay. The Baron buff does... Oh, wow. Backline now takes 70% from champions? Why? You're always able to clear backline the easiest, but it's going to be even harder for people to clear waves of Baron. So Baron becomes more required, not less. What? That's like the opposite of what they're saying. Okay. It's that it's easier for turrets to kill minions. Alright. Cannon minions scale infinitely. Still scales infinitely, but harder. 2900 at 37 minutes. Wow. Okay. Scales infinitely. 77 at 30. Okay. Spawns every 2 waves. At 15 minutes, 5 minutes earlier. Spawns every wave at 25 minutes. They want these games to close out quick, dude. Turret damage taken 14%, 1188 per outer. Wow, it's less, not more. So cannon minions are worth more. What? Okay. Unchanged. Super minions. Base AD goes down a lot. Wow, by 70. Okay, so Baron losing an inhib is not as bad. Scales infinitely, but 350 at 37. Which is much quicker than it was before. Oh, the base attack speed increased by a lot. Okay. So maybe the overall DPS is the same. No longer increases minion damage by 70%. Okay. This is a big deal when they're pushing down. Super minions now show up on the mini map. This is nice. I think people will like this a lot. Let me just. Okay, here's my problem. So their new changes are let's go all the way back up to the beginning, okay? Their goal is to extend laning phase, comebacks are more achievable, decided games resolve faster. Okay? So right here is my problem, is trying to make laning phase longer and deciding games resolve faster is a very difficult thing to achieve. And I think that they're running into the problem right now. So your laning phase is 14 minutes long. 12 to 14 minutes long. Okay, let's think. You should keep that number in your head. Now, the benefits of the game are from like the 10-minute mark, or like 15-minute mark. Stuff starts scaling really, really fast. You know, really quick. So rather than for me saying that, and it doesn't even look like Baron buff is less important. If anything, it looks like Baron buff still important, right? You're still getting 70% damage reduction from champions. Sure, it's 0% from turrets, but it's still crazy important. So for me, I don't really see a decrease in the amount of advantage Baron brings. It's more just like the game itself is going to be more accelerated. And remember, I already talked about the difficulty of balancing the game. If it's like they want comebacks to be better, right? How do you come back from a game where they're scaling it like this? So it's so difficult to achieve their goals in their current situation where their laning phase is 14 minutes, their mid game is 7 or 6 minutes, their late game starts at 20 to 25, and by the time you get to 25, you're scaling on the base game. The minions in the game are already what the game was pre-patch at 30 minutes. So I'm a little bit worried. I think they're going to find multiple problems in the fact that their goals are going to be countering each other. By trying to achieve, better early game or a longer early game, they're going to automatically cut into the fact that they can't come back as much because they're going to incentivize, turret playing and giving you a ton of gold early. And then sure, games end like faster, but decided games end faster, but it also decreases the ability to come back. So I can already see that there being a lot of problems with what I'm seeing. Epic monster respawn timer. Epic monsters respawn faster. Okay. Shorter downtime between major objectives pushes teams to fight more frequently and increases the uptime of buffs, leading to fewer stallouts. Okay, it looks like they're looking to accelerate the game outside of laning phase regardless, and they're increasing laning phase. This fits right in their kind of like big picture. So Elemental Drakes every 5 minutes, Elder Dragons every 6, Baron Nashor every 6. Okay, won't make or break the game. Will fits right into their current formula. I don't know if their formula is good. We'll go with that. Elemental Drakes. First spawn is later, responds faster. Golden experience increase, buff strength increase early. We're increasing the value of early Drakes so teams are less willing to give the first few away. Pushing initial... Really? Why? Pushing initial spawn back gives teams more time to prepare for the first Drake fight. Okay. So their first spawn is at 5 minutes instead of 2:30. Okay, you can't really cheese it with level 3 junglers like Vi anymore. Or Nunu level 3, I think, can do it as well. Respawn timer is at 5 minutes. Okay, kill goal is 100. It's okay, 75. All right. XP is 150, so twice the number of XP. Okay, Infernal Drake is 10%. Mountain Drake is 16% on the first kill. What the So having one dragon is more beneficial. The first dragon is more beneficial than the others. They're buffing all the dragons? What? I think it was a strategic option to not choose to go for Drakes. I gave up Drakes like Cloud a lot because I wanted to put extra tempo and pressure on the other side of the map, and I was willing to do a trade. In this situation, especially like if you're ahead, you never want to give up dragons because the first dragon given to the other team gives you more benefits than anything else. So look at this: you're getting two more percentage AD and AP than you were before for no reason. They decided to buff the initial value. Well, I mean, the reason is that so less teams are willing to give the first few away. 6% of Mountain Drake, which by the way, that's a huge amount. How did they even get to this number? 16%. They're doubling the first Ocean Drake, or sorry, increasing the Ocean Drake value by 50% initially. So Ocean's already OP. The first Ocean in lane, disgusting. Now even more disgusting. So I think they could have been fine with just doing this without buffing this. There's already a detriment to giving up dragons. I tangibly lose stuff. Tangibly lose stuff when I give up dragons, and I acknowledge that. But to make dragons stronger, I feel like is very okay. All right. So the game encourages, like what Riot wants to do is they want to encourage fights, more fights at dragon. I'm worried in this situation because the game is so focused around team fights. When I see the best state of the game, or the ideal state in the game, is sure people fight around stuff. You know, Baron's a big thing to fight around. Dragons are a big thing to fight around. So is Herald. You group up, you fight around towers. Generally, I like to see the game as you have the ability to do a lot of different things. So the best state of the game is one where, you know, hey, I want to be able to play a poke comp where we group up and we poke down the enemy team and we siege. Or I want to play a team fight comp. We just throw ultis at people, MF ulti, a Mumu ulti, we clean up, you know, with Malphite ulti. Or I want to play a split push comp, you know, we're going to play Jax in the 4-1. We're going to have this 4 bubble and do that. Or we're going to play Protect the AD, you know, Kog'Maw, 3 supports, 4 supports, let's go to town, you know. And there's a lot of different, I guess, counterplay through different comps and through different ways to beat those type of situations. The game has gotten more and more kind of oriented toward team fighting. It's like even when you split push to the point where you set up for a flank TP to the team fight, or you're split pushing to draw pressure away from the team fight so they get a better option for the team fight. With how strong Baron is right now, it feels that way as it is, and they're more encouraging the idea of team fighting a lot. And I don't necessarily know if that's good for the state of the game or for my opinion of the game, because I think it disencourages us, I guess, different types of play to be relevant in the game. If your champion has to be a good team fighter, I find that to be very problematic. And I think that's kind of the state of the game where we are right now. Everyone just kind of waits till the team fight. Hey, we have to team fight. We got a team fight. I come from like a world where we didn't. In earlier season games, hey, I wanted to win the game by split push. Shit, let's just split push the whole game. But right now, Baron's so good. You can't do that. You can't do any of that. You know, you get Baron, you end the game. And Elemental Drakes, all right, you're going to look to fight more. The game is being pushed more toward this team fight oriented aspect. I don't necessarily know if I like it. Especially because it feels like it's usually you want to have options in the game which increase your strategic options. But this is not an increase in your strategic options. You're forced to fight at certain times where even you may not want to, because you're giving the enemy team too much of a buff. And that's kind of tragic. Let's keep going. Jungle camp experience. Camp experience unchanged early, reduced late. Junglers have been slightly higher level than intended following mid-season changes to camp experience, with the greater potential for impact that preseason offers junglers via stronger early drakes and longer lane phases. We're toning down the upper end of monster XP scaling to get them back to the intended level. Okay, so as the game goes on, they get less. Cool. I guess that's all right. Makes sense. The biggest thing to look at here jungling right now revolves around 2 camps. Okay, they revolve or 3, two types of camps. Outside of your buffs, so you have your buffs. Everyone wants to get buffs. Cool. You have your scuttles. Everyone wants to get scuttles, and if you can't get your scuttle, you get your krugs, and your krugs give you more XP than 1 scuttle. So you can everyone pass around krugs because it is most efficient to do so. Especially if you cannot guarantee you can get scuttle. So I was kind of hoping that the jungle was going to change from that, because I think with scuttle as it is, where so much importance kind of defined by scuttle, and laning phase, so much importance is defined by laning phase. The game is only going to be the game right now for especially mid lane feels like you have to be playing a really good early pressure mid laner to be able to help your jungle get scuttle. And they didn't necessarily nerf anything in terms of scuttle or anything in terms of Krug XP. So the game state is going to essentially stay the same for jungles. This might be the first time ever that jungle stays the same from preseason to preseason or season to season. And I think I had a lot of problems with the old season because it disencouraged you from playing mids that were hard shovers or mids that could win lane. And especially with an increased focus on laning, you're going to be stuck in situations where it's like, can I play mid-game, late-game scaling champions anymore? Or do I have to play stuff like Aatrox, stuff like Aurelia, to be able to play my lane? And nothing I've seen so far has changed my idea of, I guess I just have to play the same champions. I think last meta was the least meta or most meta restrictive in terms of mid lane picks, and I see nothing different or nothing to make the case different in this situation. I think that's kind of bad. There's a lot, like, you want people to be able to play a lot of different champions. Like, champion diversity is a thing where you want to be seen or you want to play. I think maybe the one thing I have to say about this is that the game doesn't accelerate a lot early game, right? So the game is like, it's like it goes at like a fairly like whatever like slow pace, and then 14 minutes hits and the game blows open into mid game. Whereas before that moment happens, like lane phase has to stick out. So maybe the situation is you can play slower champions because there's a slower build-up and the game doesn't explode so immediately. Maybe that's the case. Maybe I'm overrating or underrating what the turret plating does and brings to the game. I'm gonna have to experience it firsthand. I am kind of worried that a lot of the problems from last meta extend onto this meta, and nothing that they've kind of done has kind of like solved any of those problems. Let's keep going though. Rune stats. Rune path bonus is removed. Select one stat from each of the 3 rows below before each game. Go forth and pick the runes and stats that you want. You no longer load the game with bonus stats based on rune paths you choose. Thank God, dude, by the way. This was the dumbest thing ever. The idea of, hey, you have a choice in the game through runes. You don't actually have a choice, by the way. Your champion doesn't want attack speed. It wants AD, and you have to go attack speed, by the way, because these are the best runes for it. It's like, okay, that's stupid. Thank God they removed this. Really, really good by them. My problem, my big ass problem with this is this. The introduction of armor and MR. So armor and MR, generally speaking, the more defensive options in the game allow for higher champion diversity. So this might directly solve some of the problems that happened before, where let's say LeBlanc is super oppressive in lane, but giving their laners 12 extra MR like they did before is going to make it so that she can't kill you as easily. And I get that. I think that is very interesting. And you saw a lot of champion diversity when top lane ran bone plating D-Shield and you were unkillable. So you started being able to run like a bunch of random champions up there, and you were just able to, same for mid lane. And then you saw the problem with corrupting being able to, for you to run a bunch of stuff too. My problem is with this situation is that they have not balanced the current set of runes. And I guess let me take this from 2 different angles. So the first angle is mid lane. So mid lane plays a lot of mages. You'll see stuff like Orianna, you'll see stuff like Lissandra, and you'll see stuff like LeBlanc. For 2 seasons now, mages have been run around the idea that penetration is OP. And double penetration is super OP. And even when they first did the item rework last season, the mid lane item rework, they did not nerf at all double pen. And I was like, this is a problem. People are rushing double pen. It's OP. Please nerf this shit. And they didn't. And even into this season, they still haven't. Double pen is still OP. And they spent an entire season not being able to balance it. And we're going, or like balancing around this double pen for mid laners, and they couldn't do it. Like, it's still not, I would say, well balanced. I think API itemization is still like revolves strictly around that aspect. And now we're going to another season where they spent 2 seasons on 30 MR, or 1 full season on 30 MR, and they're going to go back to the idea that randomly other champions can have 36 or 42. And I think that's crazy. Like you spend a year balancing for magic damage in a world where it no longer exists. So I think that they didn't do a good job on that regard. Like, I think that is super hard for them to balance around. Regardless of your competency level, that's incredibly difficult to balance. And then you go toward my other problem, which is just kind of runes in general. Every time you make sweeping big rune changes like this, you have to rebalance everything, right? So they spent the whole season, and this ties into my I guess ties into the same argument, where they had to nerf a lot of the damage runes, right? They nerf Scorch, they nerf Comet. But would they have to have nerf these so hard or so much if they had every player had an extra 12 MR? Probably not. So now they're gonna have to look to readjust these runes while still having super OP defensive runes like Aftershock, and stuff like Bone Plating. And after a full year, runes reforged is not balanced. They're still really, really strong outlier runes. And my god, Tonic Water got found out like halfway through the season and it's being super OP, you know? And they just nerfed that. And they're gonna be going forward in this another system where I'm just like, good luck balancing this shit, because now you're gonna be on a completely different situation. You have to balance around 2 worlds where armor and MR exist or don't exist. And it's like, not even talking on just the MR perspective, on the armor perspective as well. How do we balance around that? Now do we have to start buffing Pantheon because every champion can run 10 armor more at level 1? Probably. And it's like, look at the balance problems that runes cause. That these minor runes cause. This is going to be a nightmare for Riot. And good luck if they can balance this runes system by mid-season. They spend an entire year on the initial runes reforged and it's not balanced a year later. I don't know if they'll be able to balance this by next year. Fleet footwork. AP ratio decreased. Now that mages aren't punished for going precision, we're pulling back on AP instead. We're adding a fleet footwork earlier this year. Whew. Sure, I think this is a pretty big nerf. 0.2 AP ratio off. Only Caston runs this realistically, right? No one else does. Maybe Fizz, one Fizz player does. So this is just a Caston nerf. But Caston's still going to be strong without this. I remember Void complaining about this before. This just kind of kills more off-meta builds for AP champions, and I kind of agree to some extent. I think that they probably could have nerfed it a little bit by like 0.1. 0.2 seems like a large nerf, and no one else is gonna pick this except for Caston, who's probably gonna pick something else. Like, I don't think this AP mages will pick this much anymore. Let's keep going. Oh yeah, I guess AP Kaisa as well. Apologies. Celerity. So this has been a super problematic rune, super OP, and they had to nerf it 2 or 3 times because it was just too OP. And even now, it's still fringe case OP on champions like Hecarim. So what happens? Movement speed and adaptive damage are 2 of the most generically valuable stats in League. So when Celerity was tuned to be strong, as a must pick for any champion. True. Removing the damage conversion lets us carve out a sharper identity. Now we don't have to worry about excessive AD, AP, and outlier cases like Hecarim, okay, or Nocturne, if I remember correctly. Celerity can now grant larger move speed bonuses for champions and teams with a lot of haste effects. Switching from all movement speed to bonus lets us push that niche further. So movement speed bonus is increased by 8%. No longer gets AD. I like this change. I think this change pushes it away from those really edge case scenarios that people are super OP, getting too much AD from move speed, Like for instance, right now, Hecarim with Moby's Predator is really common, and a lot of the damage comes from celerity, and you just get one hit. I like it. Good, really good. Dark Harvest now procs on low health targets, but no longer requires a soul to have recently been collected. Cooldown partially resets on takedowns. No longer stacks off minions and monsters. Okay, cool. That's a lot to take in. We like Dark Harvest infinite scaling fantasy, but we haven't been thrilled with how often it leads to a single super loaded basic auto attack deciding fights before they even begin. Hello Graves. We're reworking it to be an execute focused keystone that only stacks via champion combat. The reset system to make all out brawls even more rewarding and a broader proc model to widen the potential pool of users. This isn't necessary, right? There's a reason why we have so many keystones. We have 3, 3, 3, 3, 12 keystones, right? I don't think this is necessary. You don't need to widen the pool. You have options for people who want to do damage or want to do things. So this isn't a necessity. You know, a lot of the keystones are already focused. 13, 14, 13, 14, whatever. You guys know the deal. Damaging a low health champion deals bonus damage and Harvester's Soul, permanently increases the damage of future procs. Dark Harvest procs against enemy champions below 50% health. Procs on any damage. So the damage is 50 to 80 plus 8 per harvested soul. Souls increase damage by 4 on ARAM rather than 8. Cooldown 45 seconds, resets to 1.5 on champion takedown. Minions and monsters no longer grant souls. Okay, so this has become interesting. This is less of, well, maybe it's not less of, it's worse for juggling for sure, because you can no longer farm and get Dark Harvest stacks. It encourages a lot of fighting, and this is more of a laning thing. For instance, like I look at this and I think to myself, you know what? Any champion I can use to get people below 50%, I would like. It's like an execute electrocute. So I'm looking at stuff like Karthus. I'm looking at stuff like, you know, Fizz, Zed. I can get people below 50% quite a bit. Works on any damage. It's become a much more lane competent tool. You'll probably see these more on like either poke mages or more on just mages in general who are able to harass the other person down. It's really interesting. I don't necessarily think this is crazy. Actually, this just seems to be more damage in the game, which I guess is okay, you know, because there's more defensive stats now. This will definitely be more used by a lot more laners. I can see myself trying this out a lot laning wise. 45 seconds is the real big difference. Electrocute is half the duration or less. So the thing about this is there's some champions that can proc the electrocute cooldown every 20 seconds. Champions like LeBlanc see great benefits from 20-second electrocute. Champions like, you know, Zed, I'm not able to get 20 seconds. Like, because sometimes I need to use a W to just harass, and I'm not able to get it every time, you know, or to like pick up, not harass, to like pick up certain angles or to like look for something. It's like sometimes I miss. So 45 seconds for some champions is a much better window to really get that consistency. So I can see that, you know, I can definitely see that. Ravus Hunter healing, the base healing decreased. 1.5% bonus is still 2.5%. Yeah, I mean it's literally was the best rune, and the healing was super good. I did it. I used it on everyone, even people who I ran 3 active items on, or people that are super OP ultis. This will encourage the other runes in the tree to be more usable, especially ulti Hunter. Demolish, charge up damage decreased, base damage decreased. Charge up time is 1 second less. Base damage decreased by 75. Wow, that's a lot. So this Demolish is good now. It's extra good now, right? Because think about it. Turret plating. The more you can demolish, the better it is for you, because snagging that turret plating gold is gonna be great. So I think they had to nerf Demolish a little bit because of that. But you might see this a lot more now. Shield Bast. Gain bonus resistances when shielding your next base attack after gaining a shield deals bonus damage. Okay. We're adding a new resolve minor rune to the first row. Aimed at champions with self-shield as well as damage dealers with shield granting allies, items, or runes. Cool. When shielded, gain 1 bonus armor, 10 MR, 1 to 10. When you gain your shield, the next basic auto against an enemy champion within 2 seconds deals bonus adaptive damage. It deals 4 to 21 plus 8.5% of the shield's health plus 1.5% bonus health. And it's in the first position of the row. Okay, so my first thoughts are thank God you can't go bone plating and shield bash. Because I think this is super overtuned for a few champions. So here's my problem with runes. The idea of this rune is not bad, right? Okay, you're a shield champion, self-shield champion. We want to give some strength to those people to do and want to make a cool rune for that. So what's a champion that's not doing too well? Nautilus. Hey, Nautilus not doing too great. But you know what? With shield bash, you could see some good stuff. You know, your next auto does more damage. He can trade better. You don't have to buff Nautilus. Overall, he's better, right? But instead, the people who are gonna abuse this rune are players like Sion and Victor and Urgot. Champions who are already super OP now get a better rune to work with. To make them even more OP. Like these are champions that oppress other picks from being picked. And so this is the big problem with runes, you know? Oh wait, is there no cooldown on this? That's crazy. Wait, there's actually no cooldown? Wow. That's nuts. You can use this on Victor. It's gonna be great. Oh my god. Bone plane. Damage block increase, but duration decrease. Move to you motherfucker, Riot. One of the subtle strengths of bone plating is that it's OP. As a pure damage defense rune in Resolve first row, therefore the only pick for champions who want defense in every slot. Adding flat resistances to the mix via rune stats would have made defense stacking overwhelming. So we're moving bone plating down the road too. Wow, great. We're also sharpening it to anti-burst rune to make it generally less effective. Okay, that's cool. So they're buffing bone plating. Okay, it's the duration is lower. I get it. Cool. So you'll hit them once to poke them down, but that's not possible for a lot of champions. When you're playing skirmish, like your skirmishers top lane, your Jax versus Aurelia, like, and you go in with Jax, you can't be like, okay, I'm gonna disengage this time. I'm gonna come back later. And while you're disengaging, you know, the Fiora who's playing against you is like, I'm just gonna chase your ass down and beat you up. So like a lot of times you have to punch through at least 1 or 2 bone plating stacks because in a trade you're forced to do that in the first place. I think this is generically just is or was the best thing in row 1. So everyone took it because your only other options were Demolish and Font of Life. Font of Life being the only thing you use this on is Support Ash. I'm serious. So now these two switching just means everyone's gonna take Shield Bash that can possibly take Shield Bash. And if not, the people are gonna take Demolish. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Demolish or Shield Bash for everyone. But now you can go Shield Bash plus Bone Plating to block more damage. The secondary tree has a lot of stuff that you would want to that I would say at least moving Bone Plating down this tree. There's competition. You know, there's Chrysalis, good stats early, honestly. And it transforms into more offensive stats. People would use that, you know. There's second win. People would use that early as well. So maybe it's not that bad that it's moved down to second. It just sucks. It's very interesting that you can get both. Remove Chrysalis was created to allow. God damn. To splash resolve by compensating for the lack of damage offered by. Did they change anything else I said? Okay, Klepto. Okay, no. Selectable runes solve this problem. Chrysalis is no longer needed. So you're going second win or bone plating every game. That's what you're telling me. And you're probably going to go bone plating. Cool. That's all I needed to know. Great. There's less competition. So there's not much competition. You're going to go bone plating. And Shield Bash is going to be super OP on the OP champions because surprisingly, all of them use shields outside of Aatrox. Got it. It may fringe case let you. It will be good on certain other champions, especially tanks, right? With big shields, so stuff like Nautilus will use Shield Bash, for instance. So maybe he'll get a lot of benefit from it. But right now, Victor's super OP. People think of Victor. I think of Victor. Victor's going to use this and be OP. Great. Overgrowth. Stacks now grant flat health instead of percentage health. At 120, minions and monsters deaths gain a percentage flat bonus. Percent health bonus. Switching to flat as a stack makes Overgrowth more appealing to non-tanks. That's true. While making new unlockable health percentage keeps it rewarding for tanks too. Cool. Alright. I like it. I think it is true a lot of times. Like, for instance, when you're going down this tree as Lissandra, because you're going Aftershock, right? A lot of times that third tree isn't very good. But having Overgrowth now is helpful because it's helping out everyone, not just tanks. Okay, sure. Not bad. Klepto now procs off the next 2 basic autos after using the ability rather than just the first. Wards no longer drop after 20 minutes. Giving Kleptomancy a second proc broadens its user base beyond Ezreal. That's true. Champions who abilities either reset or count as a basic auto that procs Klepto. Hey, game plank too. We're also removing wards from the lube table after 20 minutes since at that point inventories are often filled. Component items and wards just immediately drop onto the ground. Okay. So this is a Lucian thing now, right? We're going for Lucian and Urgot? Is that it? Does Klepto proc off of Urgot W? Can I get 2 procs every time I press Q? And it'll be good on Jace too. Oh, this is gonna be nice. Okay. Okay. Fiora will be Klepto users. Okay, that's fine. I think that it's just they're probably gonna nerf the drop rate because you get 2 procs now. And overall it'll be a weaker thing. Sure. I think it was maybe fairly good on really fringe cases. Like super good. So stuff like who uses this? Gameplank, Alawi, Victor, Ezreal? Yeah, it's really good on those. It's fine. This isn't a really big deal. Either they keep using it or the drop rate's nerfed and so bad they stop using it and they'll use something else. You can easily do that for everything else outside of Ezreal. Ezreal may have to go a little bit wild and do something different, but I mean, I don't think it matters too much. And yeah, maybe you'll be able to use it on stuff like Lucian, stuff like Urgot. Maybe Shyvana Q, who knows? It'd be funny. Bounties. Kill bounties increased at 4+ kills. Really? Medium monster gold advantage now factored into bounties. Bounties on losing teams reduced. What? Bounty payout now per kill now capped. What? The goal is to help teams bounce back from slight to moderate deficits via higher rewards to successful comeback plays. Lower payouts for dying when you're the one keeping your team in the lead. You're making alarm request changes. Bounties won't change until combat ends. So if you grab a bunch of kills in the team fight, your value won't go up until at least you've had the chance to spend your gold. Okay, this is big. This is big. So if I'm soloing someone, you know, and I'm 1-0, and I kill him, but he cross kills me afterwards because the tower hits me, and it's not him because I'm the better player, but you know the tower killed me. He no longer gets 450 gold because that happened, and I get 300 or 270 or something. This is actually pretty big. Finally, large bounties have now been added to the scoreboard so you can spot the highest value target to take out. This is funny, sure. So 1 to 3 kill gold is 0, 150, 300. 4 kill gold is. This is crazy. The additional gold you get per kill is you give 100 gold. If since your last set, a champion has earned 250 more gold for minions and monsters than the enemy team's average during that time, their bounty increases by, so if you're split pushing pretty much. Their bounty increases by 50 gold plus another 50 for each additional 50 gold. Average is determined by dividing teams' minions and monster gold by 4 rather than 5 based on 4 sources of income on Summer's Rift. Yeah, let me pull out my, calculator in the middle of the game and calculate my bounty. At least I'm happy that they have the bounty added on the scoreboard so I can just see. But sure. This is actually what I'm pissed off about. So I still think the bounties are too high for kills early. I think that me killing someone, getting 300 gold, and them killing me and getting 450 is crazy. Actually. And I think that the scaling is nuts. I would rather the scaling be lower and then go to this point. And because this maybe I agree with, right? Maybe you should have the ability to come back. And the losing team gives up less goals when they're ahead. I think that's cool too. I think the what you call it? Bounties on the losing team are reduced. I think that's cool. It means that it's a little bit tougher for, like, if you're trying to solo carry, you're the 11-0 Rengar and your team's like 0-20. Maybe you can do it, right? It's not that bad if you die. Because a lot of times I die when I have a 2-kill or 4-kill lead. I'm just like, guys, it's over. Like, just GGFF. Because they got so much off of my kill and I can't rubber band it. But I think this is good. Okay. I think this is good. And I don't I would have preferred them remove kill bounties like as much earlier. I would prefer them to get like 75 extra gold instead of 150 and go up from there. I think right now kill bounties are kind of crazy, and maybe they're better for, you know, spectators or whatever, but it feels really bad for me to kill someone and then give them 150 extra gold on the cross kill afterwards. Buyout. Bounties no longer increase mid-combat. Bounties for killing members of the losing team are reduced. Down to 20% of the... Wow, down to 20%. Wow, that's a lot. That's really far behind. Killing a kill can no longer... I expected it to be like 50. Holy shit. They're trying to make you be able to come back a lot. A single kill can no longer grant more than 1,000 gold total to the killer. Any bounty capacity cap rolls over? Okay. Minimum kill gold. Granted for killing an enemy with 6+ deaths increased. With the bounty system increased, there were weird cases where killing someone was left far behind felt like the wrong decision, since the gold you got was so little compared to the gold you could potentially get to manage to accrue a bounty. Doubling the minimum gold kills should prevent these cases from cropping up. Okay. I'm a cutie pie buff right here. Singed buff, actually. Yeah, I mean, sure. I think minimum 100 gold is fine. I agree with this. I think that you shouldn't be getting 50 gold to kill. That's just crazy, to be honest. That's nuts. Teleport. Oh, this is what people were complaining about the whole time to me. Okay, so TP. Channel time reduced, but can no longer be canceled. Okay. I think them reducing the channel duration. Alright, whatever. 0.5 seconds, not a huge deal. Can't be canceled once as caster once cast. This is gonna be hilarious. So funny. I'm gonna see someone TP in a really bad spot, not be able to cancel it, drop into 5 people and be like, well, shit. A lot of times TP right now is a it is a threat, but not used as an actual weapon. So it's like the threat of nuclear warfare. You have the threat of teleport, right? But you don't ever want to really use it. So a lot of times, like, you'll like TP to force people to back off. Like, hey, I'm TPing down. They're about to die. This huge wave. I'm gonna drop the TP. Okay, they can't die anymore. Cool. You know, and you don't want to actually go through because you don't want to lose your stuff top lane. But now you have to go through, and you can't play the chicken game where you TP and the other top laner TPs. You know, and then suddenly one of the teams are gonna win that team fight, and whoever came in who's on the losing team is gonna get spanked, and it's gonna be embarrassing. And I'm gonna love it because I'm not gonna be the one doing it. But this is very interesting. A lot of people said it took away from the strategic options in the game. To some extent, it did, for sure. I think you're gonna have to teleport is gonna be a lot more premeditated now. Like doing reactionary, you have to be very, very, very careful. If you do it as a reaction, you have the chance to look very bad, and it's going to be very funny. You can show up on a highlights clip channel somewhere doing this, guaranteed. I don't think it's going to be as meta changing as people think. Generally speaking, my overall opinion of this is I have to see more of it. I don't use that much TP, so it's not something that I can really say. My initial thoughts are it seems strange that they're going to do this. I think this was not necessary, but I'm not necessarily going to go out of my way to say it's bad right now. Okay, cool. In-game stats panel. We're changing colors to slightly adjusted gray. I don't care about colors. Ranked armor. First elements of rank 2019 are arriving. We're updating banners in your lobby and your profile to show your highest earned rank from the last season. Please no. On your profile, this replaces the insignia that previously represents your season's past rank. Please no. You can switch off your past rank, thank God, by opening the summer icon selector on your profile in your upper right on the client. I'm going to do that instantly. Okay, cool. Game lobbies. Rework the lobby to include past rank banners to get ready for ranked, and I'm good. I'm okay. I don't want that either. By the way, I think all of these have no relevance. Like, I don't care. And I don't think you should care that much either. Like, you having the badges there or not is not relevant to the actual balance of the game, so I'm not really covering it, right? Sorry if you care a lot and I'm being a little, disrespectful about it. I just personally don't really care, and I don't think it affects the game. Missions. We'll only hang on to missions for a maximum of 45 days. Okay. Bug fixes. Oh god, we're almost done. Hell yeah, dude. That didn't even take that long. Last ad played 1 hour and 19 minutes ago. Okay, maybe it took a lot longer than I thought. Base queue, single malice size increased. Okay. Proper particle size increased. Darken, mirror image, clone out proper particle effects. Actually, nothing. Nothing that would be a buff to the game. Cool. So the upcoming skins. This Leona skin is sick. Really, really cool. Crazy good skin. Common Lissandra, insane skin. Camille, not bad skin. All 4 of these skins are great. This skin, you remember when I talked to you guys about wallpaper anime? Like anime that isn't good, but like it's pretty. It's like a wallpaper skin. The splash art's pretty, but like I probably would never use the skin. No offense. Okay. Well, what are my thoughts on this patch? They didn't. I think a lot of the last season's meta was built around the idea of jungle. Everyone plays around the jungle. It's like, so if you're bot lane and you shove in, you roam to the scuttle. If you're mid lane, you shove in, you roam to whatever scuttle your jungle wants. Your jungle dictates the pace of the game by you helping the jungle. He returns the help to the top and mid lanes, who are the strongest lanes of the game, who then return the help to bot lane by carrying bot lane's ass through the game, because unless they're playing Lucian, Draven, or Sivir, they're not very useful. So that's kind of last season in a nutshell, or how the end of the season happened. So this season, usually jungle just changed every season. This season, jungle didn't really get changed. So jungling, for the first time ever, is going to be similar to the last season. I think that the jungle in the last season caused a bunch of problems because I think it hard forced mid lane to not be able to pick off meta picks, because you had to be able to win lane to be able to contest scuttle, and if you didn't contest scuttle, you were actively hurting your team's chances of winning the game. I don't see any nerfs to super strong OP champions, like for instance Aurelia, Kali, LeBlanc. All didn't really see much nerfs. There were minor rune buffs, which tended to help against some of these assassins and laners. And there's a small Aatrox nerf that I don't think was that much. So I think the meta doesn't really change that much. The real big thing is going to be how much this turret plating matters. Will this change the game to where you can play these safe champions and allow them to accrue free turret gold for your choice and being able to play something that's not that good early game? And if the answer is yes, we're going to have a new meta. If the answer is no, we might actually be living in a similar meta to last season. And for me, I hate that. I want the meta to change for sure. This might be the first preseason that we see that it doesn't have that much of a different meta shift. And I do not like that at all. I was hoping for a much different meta because I did not like last season at all. That much. Okay. I think a lot of this stuff could go like differently than what I expect. I'm really interested to see what happens. I'll be playing the preseason a lot starting tomorrow. Let's shift over to NEEKO though. This patch, there's nothing much I'd say about it. Best to go on. NEEKO, the Curious Chameleon. Okay, she is a mage. Her race is the Vastaya. She is related to Ezreal, Rengar, and Nidalee. She we're not reading her lore. I refuse to read her lore. Okay. She is the Curious Chameleon. Who is she? That depends on you. A shapeshifter from a long-lost tribe of Vastaya. NEEKO watches the world with wide eyes and endless curiosity, always looking for something new to be. She may not seem dangerous at first, but keep a close eye on her. With NEEKO, things are never quite as they appear. Very Zoe-like, very playful description. Passive, inherent glamour. NEEKO can disguise herself to appear as any allied champion. What? Damaging or taking damage from enemy champions or casting either Blooming Burst or Tango Bark breaks the illusion. What? What? Okay. Cool. NEEKO propels a seed in the target area, which blooms and damages enemies. If the burst kills an enemy or damages a champion or a large monster, it will bloom again up to 2 times. So, chain bloom. Okay. Cool. Ooh, wave clear, wave clear. Okay. We brought Hearthstone Defile straight into the world of League of Legends. Got it. Shapeshifter. Oh wait. Every third auto. Three hit auto. Okay. Resonates with spiritual energy, dealing bonus magic damage and briefly increasing NEEKO's movement speed. Okay. Briefly slips out of sight, becoming invisible, gaining move speeds, and sending a temporary clone of her current location sprinting to a chosen direction. Okay. Oh, and it works for when you copy someone. Cool. Okay. NEEKO slings a magical spiral in the direction, damaging and briefly rooting enemies. So you know what this is? Okay. This reads just reads fuck Wukong, because it's a better version of Wukong every way, shape, or form, right? It's Wukong W that doesn't last as long duration wise, but it gives you movement speed and it gives you a 3-hit passive, right? Am I wrong? The clone doesn't do, dude. The clone doesn't do damage. Oh my god! How can I forget about the insane Wukong clone damage? That's the reason why people play that champion. If Wukong clone didn't do damage and did this instead, it'd probably be better. Okay, so slings a magical spiral in the direction, damaging and briefly wounding enemies it passes through. The last champion hit is really longer. Okay. If Tango Barb hits at least 2 enemies, it grows in size, speed, and root duration. Wow, okay. So it encourages heat through minions, and it goes through minions. And it's very, very long. What the 1, 2, 3. Is that a 3-second CC? That seems very long. Okay, wow. Jesus, okay. And I can go through minions, okay. Pop Blossom, her ulti, this is the heavy hitter. Begins charging herself with spiritual essence. A moment later, she leaps into the air, gains a shield, slows nearby enemies, releasing energy upon landing to massively damage stun in the area. When disguised by inherent glamour, enemies won't see the initial charge up. What? Wait. So let me get this straight. It's Nunu ulti, when she can move while casting it, and it stuns instead of slow, or instead of I guess it doesn't slow while it's casting. It's Nunu ulti, right? Because she gets a shield while she's doing it. It starts to slow when she goes up in the air. This is crazy though. When disguised by her passive, she doesn't get a startup animation, so she can just run up to people and use it. What the f? Okay, that's nuts. What the heck? Okay, I was actually hoping that she would be more of a champion where that'd be weird. Like that she could use her allies' abilities or something. So let me watch the gameplay. Oh! Oh, that's funny, dude. Wait, that's cool. Okay. Wait, that's so funny. Okay. She's a pretty bubbly person. All right. I need to watch the trailer. Where's the trailer? I agree. Well, where's the trailer? Here we go. NEEKO the Curious Chameleon.
Ooh, pretty colors. NEEKO likes this shape. Careful! Why are you sad, friend? You have powerful legs, like warrior or sand flea. You make a funny face.
It's funny.
Oh, small brain. Ooh, NEEKO investigate. Stay hidden. No jumping. You are in trouble!
Walks on all fours.
No time to waste.
Oh, okay.
You fell for it. It's fun to walk around in different skins. Goodbye, fake NEEKO.
Wait, harder 3. Oh, because she W. Wait, that's cool.
Back with the wrong NEEKO.
Which one's the real one?
Same luck next drive. Get ready.
Oh my god, what a combo, dude.
Hubba. You are stunning and beautiful.
Ah, no flower for you.
Ooh, Christmas?
Hello, nature.
Christmas Summoner's Rift? Is this the leak?
Nature here looks funny.
Winter map. Okay, I think it's cool. I like it. I just kind of wish that she could do a little bit more with other champions, but I like the synergy in her kit. I think it's cool. The numbers probably need to be tuned, but I like a lot of what her kit does. And I think the biggest thing that people are looking at is like, I don't know. I think I'm excited. I'm excited. This is a fun champ. I'll definitely play this champ. She looks like a very fun version of a control mage. Similar to somewhat similar to, I don't know. I don't want to say Zoe. Don't make me say Zoe. It's like Lissandra, kind of. Shaco. It's like a Shaco. Okay, I like that. Shaco. Alright, I think she's cool. I don't think that her there's nothing in her kit that makes me scream, wow, this is gonna be complete BS. Like her mirroring other people, you know what? You just have to consider that she could be in that bush, you know? I don't think that's BS. It's just something you have to think about when you're playing against a champion, you know? I think it's cool. Alright. Holy shit. I am done. Absolutely done with everything. With my passionate rundown and my champion first impression for NEEKO. Cool champion, really like what her kit brings, and I think it's really cool. I will play her for sure.